All right, so the next myth that we want to deal with is that God hears your tears and unspoken prayers. God hears your tears and unspoken prayers. And this is not to I almost said this is not to as the young people say, throw shade at people who, when you are having a intimate moment or emotional or crying out before the Father. It's not to say that you can't do that, shouldn't do that. Yeshua himself would cry out before the Father. So the issue isn't with the tears. The issue is us thinking that by crying or by us crying, that is what's going to move the Father. He only responds to his word. Remember, we said earlier, he's not a lawbreaker. So he could even have pity, like, oh man, I hate that they're going through that, because he does care about us, right? He does care for us. But his hands are tied, so we have to make sure that we are speaking the word, even in those moments. And then the part about the unspoken prayers, I was watching this show and it was talking about who knows what it was talking about. The point is they were getting ready to eat, right? And so they were the wife was like, are you gonna pray over the food? And the husband was like, I already did. And he just started eating. And so it was one of those, mental prayers. And that is something, again, that I've heard people, just throughout the years, like say and do, like, well, the Father, he knows my heart, and he knows what I'm thinking before I think it. So why should I say it? Well, that is not a kingdom law. That is not how the kingdom operates. Even Elohim himself, he spoke when he created the world and everything that he has done. He spoke out of his mouth, because you know what? It's a law. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, as we see here in Mishlei 18 and 21, in the way that we use our language. So if that has been you, if that, doing those mental prayers, you're not going to get anywhere. It's not going to be effective. And this also applies to thoughts that are coming to your mind. There are three sources of thoughts: the Father, the enemy, and then man. So we need to, whenever thoughts are coming, we need to meet those thoughts with the word. Speak to those thoughts. Don't just let them dwell there. All right. All right, and then in Yohanan 6 and 63, it says, the words that I speak to you are spirit and they are life. So let's make sure that Elohim, when we are praying to him, that we are praying the word. All right, so the next myth that we want to address is that Elohim always responds when we bind and loose, decree and declare. I decree and I declare. Okay, I just had to get that out. People people really put on a great show, but don't say anything. Don't be saying nothing. Okay, that's not the we don't want to do that. The political term is called filibustering. Filibustering, just filling the time, filling the air. A lot of politicians do that as well. They just be talking and talking and talking. It may sound good, may get you excited, or it may not, but it's not effective. So we want to make sure that when we're praying, that we are effective. And then also something that we want to pull out of here is having a better understanding of binding and of loosing. So let's look here in Matthew 16 and 19. And it reads, and I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. And whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. This is a law that some people have gotten wrong, because just reading it in the English translation, in this particular translation, it would have you think that whatever we want to do, that the Father's gonna back us up. And I'll give you a quick story. There was this, I must have been, man, I don't know how old I was. I was really young, but there was an older believer, I think she was in high school or something, And she was on fire for Elohim. She was just just telling everybody, being a witness, all of the things. And there was a particular some people at her school that she was trying to minister to. And so, but they really weren't hearing her. And so she said, well, you know what? I'm going to prove to you that God is real. So tomorrow it's going to snow. Mind you, it's July. Because whatever, she's like, tomorrow it's going to snow, because whatever I bind in heaven will be loosed on earth, and all in all the things. And guess what? That next week in prayer, she was crying because she was so embarrassed that the Father did not answer her prayer, or so she thought. But that's not how it works. Let's look to that scripture again, but this time we're going to read it in the Amplified translation. And it reads, I will give you the keys, authority of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind or forbid, declare to be improper and unlawful on earth, will have already been bound in heaven. And whatever you loose or permit, declare lawful on earth, will have already been loosed in heaven. So again, it is our responsibility to find out what has already been allowed in heaven. Father, what is your will? What is permissible? Before I petition something before him and just hope that it works out. No, we have to know the laws that govern whatever it is that we're praying about, and come to him, be a repeater of the law, not creating our own. Okay, so that's why that prayer didn't quote unquote work, because there were some laws that were violated when she was, unknowingly submitting that prayer. So we want to make sure that we don't fall into that trap. Okay. All right.